How do you know when you can disagree and let it go and when it's time to fight? Let's talk about it today on A Little Bit More Like Jesus. Well, hello everybody. I am so excited that you decided to click on the link today. And if you do me a favor, I want you to like, share, subscribe to this channel so we can continue to grow this thing that God is doing. And I just am excited about jumping in this with you today because I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but a lot of people don't know how to disagree and still love each other, right? I know I deal with it as well. I don't like to disagree with people. I like to get along with people. But I've noticed that if you do life with someone for very long, you're going to disagree. As a matter of fact, the experience in my life has been that if you go too long without disagreeing at all, either someone's not being honest or you just haven't known each other long enough, right? Because we all have different ideas, different things. And I don't know about you, but there's been times in my life when I felt like that maybe I took something a little bit more seriously than I should have, or maybe someone else decided to really take offense to something that I thought wasn't that big a deal. And so if we're going to do life with each other, if we're going to try to establish relationships where we can disagree and still do life with each other, maybe we should set some ground rules. And I know in the culture we live in today, this is kind of something that isn't talked about a lot. The idea is if I don't like what you say, if you don't agree with me, then I just shut you out of my life. But honestly, that's not the best way to do things because sometimes we're wrong and we need someone who has a better idea, or sometimes we're right, but their opinion may help us understand why we believe what we believe. So it's important to have people in your life that you can disagree with and still do life together. So if we're going to do that, how do we disagree and get along? And how do we know when a topic is worth fighting about or not? Well, in my life, I've learned the hard way to find these different boundaries, and I've really discovered three different ways or three different areas to put all of my different ideas into to know when it's time to really have a conversation, when to let it go, or when it's time to have a fight, right? And there's literally only one area where I say, listen, we probably can't be friends if you don't do this. And the three areas is this: things I'm willing to die for, things I'm willing to debate about, and things I don't care about. Now, once again, it's things I'm willing to die for, the things I'm willing to debate about, and the things I don't care about. Now, I will also say that when I first gave my life to Christ, most things were in the die for category. Like, it didn't matter, I'm willing to die for it, we're gonna fight about this, and if we don't agree, we just can't be friends, right? Well, the longer that I did life, the longer I realized I wasn't right about a lot of things, and just the older I got, I started to realize that really a lot more of those things should go into the second category of I'm not willing to die for it, I'm not willing not to be friends, but I am going to talk about it. Well, as I've continued to live and continued, even more things go into that last category of I don't care. So let's talk about this. Willing to die for, willing to debate, and I don't care. Let's talk about what belongs in the willing to die for category. There really should only be things that you are honestly willing to no longer have anything to do with. This is the category. So how about this? That if you don't believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven, that if you don't believe that the Bible is the inerrant, inspired Word of God, that Jesus fulfilled all the prophecies of the Old Testament, and that the only way to salvation is through Jesus alone. Okay, there's just a few different things. Now, when I mean willing to die for, that doesn't mean that I won't even be your friend. It just means I'm not going to back up on this. Like, it's settled in my heart. This is where it is. And if you try to move me from this, then there's going to be boundaries, right? So you can even be friends with people who don't agree with you on you're willing to die for. They just need to understand I'm not going to move on this, and I'm probably going to continue to try to convince you that I'm right. So be very careful with what you put in this category. You can't have everything in that category, especially if it doesn't have to do with salvation. Because you know what I'm willing to debate about? Eschatology, the end times. Whether or not Jesus is going to come back as a rapture or the second coming, all that. I've got some opinions, but my salvation is not attached to it, so I'll have a conversation with you. Was creation literally 7 24-hour periods, or was it 3 or 7 spans of time? I have my opinion, you have your opinion. I'm willing to debate. It's fun, but I'm not going to die for it. How about this one? Whether or not women can serve in ministry. You know what? I have my opinion, you have yours. I'm willing to debate. I'm willing to possibly be wrong, not willing to die for it, but I will debate with you. Then you got the category of I don't care. You know what I don't care about? What dinosaurs have to do with salvation. Don't care. I mean, I'd love to talk about it, but I'm not even willing to debate about it. I'll just listen. How about this? Whether or not your cat is going to heaven, whether or not your family pet is going to heaven. I don't mean this rude. I just don't care. I don't care if my pet is going to heaven. Okay, I love my dog. Don't care. So I don't even really want to debate it with you. Like, you can talk to me and I'll say how very interesting. Not going to debate it with you. But I do feel very, very strongly about other things. So let me tell you stuff that happens though, is we get into life where our identity is attached to our ideas. So our identity gets attached to things that don't need our identity attached to it, and so we struggle, and that's why we put everything in the die for category, is because we think that if we're wrong, then somehow we have less value. So like this right here. How about that if your cat is going to go to heaven? Okay, that should be in the don't care category. Like, maybe he is, maybe he's not. We'll find out when we get there, right? But if your identity is attached to being right, then you put it in the die for category. Because if you and I disagree, well, now you think I'm saying that you're not smart, or you don't know what you're talking about. And so now it becomes about you instead of about the topic, right? How about this one? Whether or not women can serve in ministry. Do you know, I could be wrong about how I feel. You might be wrong about how you feel. But if you can't detach your identity from it, it goes into the die for category. And there should be no reason why we can't do life together just because we disagree. So here we go. Anything that is a salvation issue, that is an eternity issue, can go in the to die for category. If it's not, it should go in the let's disagree, agree to disagree, let's try to debate one another, but at the end of the day, we still love each other. And then for everything else, it goes in the don't care category. You know why this is so important? It's because we live in a culture that no longer understands how to disagree and still be friends. I am not very old, but I am old enough to remember how I could completely disagree with a friend. We could disagree so bad that we hang up on each other on the phone. But you know what would happen the next day? We would talk to each other and we would let it go because we were friends. And our identity was not attached to our conversation. But we're in a culture now where it's so easy to detach from people. It's so easy to throw people away and get in our own echo chamber, and that is so very dangerous. So if there's anything we need to learn how to do again, is to learn how to disagree and still be friends. So one last time, willing to die for, willing to debate, and willing to not care about. And I want to ask you this question. What is in the wrong category in your life? Do you have some things in the willing to die for category that shouldn't be there? Like maybe your political preference, maybe how you feel about certain things in your church, certain things having to do with the Bible that are great topics, but they're not salvation issues. And here's the other one. Do you have things you don't care about that maybe need to go a little bit deeper? So I don't know how that's going to affect you, but if we can learn how to do this, we can be a little bit more like Jesus every day, because he was willing to be friends with people who disagreed with him, but he never backed up on what he thought. And I don't know if we can figure that out. I think we're going to be just okay. I think we're going to be all right. I love you so much. I can't wait to see you here next time on A Little More Like Jesus every day.